Hey guys, it's Monet with Tick Life, and today I have a co-star. This is the lovely Channing, and today she will be in my video on Transparent Thursday. So I'm excited about this because I enjoy being open and honest with you guys, and my hope is that you will learn from me. That maybe you'll hear something and you'll be able to connect with it and just do better than me. So today's topic, as you can tell from the title, is how I flunked out of grad school. So for anybody that is considering starting their master's, specialist, doctorate program, and there's some tips that could possibly help you, or maybe you're in your journey and you're having a very difficult time, join the club. Okay, so I just thought today would be a great day to do that and to be open and honest. So let's go ahead and jump in. So in 2015, shortly after having my daughter Channing, I decided that I wanted to start my master's program. So I actually started that in January. And it started off on a good foot. I chose to go to a college in the state of Georgia where I live, and I did an online program for curriculum and instruction because at that time that is what I thought I wanted to do next in education. So everything went well. It was a total online program because at the time, again, being a new parent, I thought that maybe going to classes after work would not work best for me. And so I was like, okay, this is going to be super easy. I'm just going to be very organized, hit my deadlines, and get this 2-year program. It's about a year and a half in timeline. And so I took 2 classes that semester, and everything went fine. I made an A and a B. It was a learning experience, of course, being a first year teacher, and also dealing with online classes. It was a challenge, but I got it done. I was determined to start off on the right foot. So then I continued on in the summer, and then in the fall I actually went to another school because at that time her dad was in the Navy, and so we relocated to another location. So I started at a brand new school and a new grade level with different content, and so I was still determined to register for classes and again take 2 courses. And in being open and honest, I know I'm an A student. I feel like had I not been married to someone in the military, had I not had my daughter, I think that I could have been a little bit more focused. So for me, the first thing that I can take away from just the beginning of my journey was choosing the right time. I know we as teachers and sometimes as people, we like to believe I can handle it all, and there's a right time for everything. And sometimes just the wrong season can throw your success off. And so I continued that fall, pushing through, and the next semester I found out I was pregnant with her brother, and I started having some challenges in my marriage as well. So I was pregnant, having challenges, second year teacher, and in my master's program. So it was like bam, bam, and bam. And so again, I'm taking those 2 courses. I'm doing my very best. And I think that semester I made a B and C. And then I discovered that I was going to have some challenges in my pregnancy because I was high risk. And so I think I took the summer off. I registered, but then I withdrew. And withdrawing can mess up everything from your financial aid to your pacing guide. And so, of course, it did. So I took off. I went into labor that fall of September with my son, and I was still having challenges in my marriage. I was still having problems, with my health, like just bouncing back from pregnancy. It was very challenging and balancing being a single parent because at that time he had left the household, so it was like everything on me, and I was still trying to do my master's. I didn't have a lot of support in my master's program at the school that I chose, because number one, the school that I chose was not in the Atlanta area whatsoever. And then I had never built a relationship with my academic advisor. I never built a relationship with my professors. And even though, you know, they say you have an online community, I really didn't have anybody that I was going through the course with. So it was just like, sink or swim, Monet. You're on your own. Figure it out. Just keep pushing, and do your best, and hopefully you'll finish the program. So I ended up pushing on that following spring after having my son in January. In September, that January, I registered for, you know, to go back and get back in the flow. I think I had to do an appeal because I had took that semester off, and so when you jump back in the program, sometimes they require you to write like a letter saying why you should be reinstated or something like that. So I got that done, and I stated the reasons, and things were kind of getting better. My personal life was still a little rocky. Me and her dad were trying to work things out, seeing that we had a newborn and we had her, and so yeah, and I was trying to, and then also I was in a testing grade. I was in fifth grade in the state of Georgia. That is a milestone grade, and so having that stress or pressure from admins and parents to have students perform also kind of put a little mental stress on me. And it was just a really hard year. And what happened in March, I mentioned my grandmother in, I think, my teacher tag last summer, but I actually lost my grandmother that March. And I mean, it was hard. It was really, really hard. I was really sad. And I really don't think sad is the word, because I was really close to my grandmom. I'm actually pretty close to my parents, my mom, and my grandmother. I'm adopted, so I have two moms. And so it was just hard. So that was a lot of pressure, a lot of vulnerability, because the great thing about my grandmother was I can say that every day she would call me at 8 o'clock, and at that time that was like the start time for the school kids. The start time was technically 7:45, but she would call me in my class at 8 o'clock every morning. My students would say, "Good morning, Grandma," and she would just kind of, you know, talk to me, encourage me, because she knew that I was having challenges in my personal life and just trying to push forward. And she would, you know, just kind of uplift me. And I remember the first day going back to class after her passing, and looking at the clock like, wow, it's 8 o'clock. I didn't get my phone call, and the kids didn't quite know that she had passed. They were like, "Is your grandma gonna call today?" And I just broke down. That was really hard. And of course, I had just registered for that spring semester. I was in the middle, I think it was approaching midterms, and it just threw everything off, because I was so sad to lose my grandmom, and also helping my mom through that, you know, getting my grandmother's house and her assets and things situated, and just helping her with that, because we're so close. And I made C's. I think that's when I made a B and a C. I think I pushed through a B and I got a C. No, I got a C and I got an extension for another class, because one professor was very understanding, and they allowed me to make up that course in the summertime, I think. And so I just kept pushing. I kept pushing to finish, and I earned 27 credit hours out of the 34 needed to graduate. And so I was right there at the finish line, and I kept pushing, and I got on academic probation. And the way that it was structured, there was no possible way with me taking 2 classes in that summer where I had that extension. I was taking 3 courses because I was trying to bounce back, and I was just trying to finish and push through. And I ended up not performing very well because, like a dummy, I had enrolled in 3 classes, and that was just too much for me with my 2 kids, and still trying to adjust without my grandma, and trying to get my marriage together. And it was just a lot. So all in all, I think between me having such a rough season, and then with me not stopping, I think there were times where I should have just stopped and reevaluated my life, reevaluated the program while my GPA was still really high. I should have just said, you know what, maybe I either need to stop going for my master's, or I need to transfer to a school where I can actually attend classes, build relationships with people, so that people can connect with me and I connect them, and build a support system. Because what I think I really needed at that time was support. And so please keep that in mind when you're trying to decide, am I an online person? Shush. Keep that in mind when you're trying to decide whether you're an online student or whether you're going to be somebody that actually goes into the classroom. And I think there's so much meat in going to a physical location and being in a room of people that are like, that have the same goal as you, and you can push each other, you can connect with one another. If you get stuck, you can have those study sessions, and you can build a relationship with the professor, and the professor can get to know you. And I just think that's something that you cannot duplicate in an online program. I don't think that would work. All in all, what ended up happening for me, I did not meet the requirements of my academic probation, and I set out 1 year. And after a year, they contacted me and said, "Hey, do..." They contacted me and said, "Shush, shush. I only got 2 more minutes." They contacted me and said, "Do you want to continue the program?" And they said, "If you do, we know you only need 2 classes, but you're gonna have to take 3." And I was like, "No, thank you." And I'm really grateful. I think that was like really divine, because at this point, I got things situated with my marriage, and we have firmly decided to call it quits. I am healed from the grief of my grandmother. My mom is in a great place, and I feel like I'm solid as a teacher. Like, I have my style, I have my routine, I have my confidence in my profession. So I think now was a really good time, and I actually know what I want to do. Before, I wanted to be a curriculum coach, or an instructional support specialist, but now, or be somebody that actually write curriculums in a state or in a district. I thought that would be so cool, because I love dissecting standards. But what I actually figure I want to do, because I connect so much with ELA, I love reading, and it's like everything to me. And so I decided that I want to be a reading specialist, where I either do interventions for students that are troubled with reading, or I coach teachers on how to build the or fill the achievement gap for reading within a school or population. So now I'm actually in a master's program, a 1-year master's program, to get my master's in reading and literacy. And so from there, I would decide whether I want to get my specialist. I'm not going to get my doctorate. I don't see myself doing that. And some people may say, "What? That's like a few courses more than a specialist." It's a personal choice. That's what I believe I'm gonna do. I don't think that's for me. That's too much. But yeah, I'm probably gonna get my specialist in like reading, literacy, and assessment. That'll probably like the next thing. But I just want people to know, like, when they hire me, my focus is reading. So guys, please learn from me. Choose the right time. Figure yourself out as a learner, what will work best for you. Make sure you have a support system within your family or within your community, and just do your absolute best and know when to stop. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Thumbs it up, subscribe, like. I'll see you guys on Instagram. Tick on.